History is an essential part of our lives. It not only records what has happened, but also serves as a mirror reflecting both the present and the future. By looking into history, we better understand the origins of our values, the lessons learned, and the mistakes humanity has made. Every historical story carries the breath of its era, a mark left by people in the endless flow of time. Thanks to history, we learn to appreciate peace, understand sacrifice, and realize that everything we have today was built on the sweat, tears, and wisdom of generations before us. To understand history is also to understand ourselves, so we can walk more firmly into the future. Now, I invite you to join me in exploring the Lost Battalion, the most desperate battle of World War I, to truly feel the harshness and brutality of war. In October of 1918, amidst the waning days of World War I, a chilling mystery unfolded in the dense Argonne Forest. Over 500 American soldiers marched into its depths and vanished without a trace. No distress calls, no requests for aid. Only an unsettling silence lingered where they once stood. Their story, a harrowing tale of resilience and desperation, would later become legend as the saga of the Lost Battalion. That final autumn of the Great War painted the Argonne Forest in hues of fading gold and crimson, yet the forest floor remained a mire of mud and the grim remnants of years of brutal conflict. On the morning of October 2nd, Major Charles Whittlesey, a man of stern resolve, led approximately 554 men into a narrow, treacherous ravine. Their mission, seemingly straightforward, was to breach the formidable German lines and link up with Allied forces advancing on either flank. However, as they pressed deeper into the labyrinthine woods, an ominous sense of foreboding began to creep in. Distant rifle fire echoed through the trees, punctuated by the sudden burst of flares overhead. Confused orders crackled over the field telephones, adding to the growing unease. Then, the stark reality crashed upon them. The Allied units to their left and right had been stalled, leaving Whittlesey's men utterly alone, marooned deep within enemy territory. Before a retreat could even be considered, a storm of German machine gun fire ripped through the ravine. Branches exploded in splinters, and the earth erupted in violent sprays of dirt and debris. The only path that offered even a glimmer of hope was forward. By late afternoon, the exhausted troops had managed to secure a small, exposed patch of high ground. Cramped, rocky, and far from ideal, it was nonetheless their only sanctuary. Whittlesey ordered them to dig in, scraping at the unforgiving earth with shovels, helmets, and even their bare hands. With relentless efficiency, German forces tightened their grip, forming an impenetrable ring around the beleaguered battalion. Snipers, hidden in the lofty branches, patiently stalked their prey, while machine gun nests lay in wait deeper within the woods. Every potential escape route was sealed. Whittlesey dispatched runners, each carrying desperate pleas for assistance, but none ever returned. Whether they were captured or met a more violent end, their fate remained unknown. Food supplies dwindled to nothing that same day, and water soon followed. Yet, the men clung to their positions, huddled low in shallow trenches, listening to the unsettling sounds of the enemy moving in the darkness. That night, the forest transformed into a cold, echoing cathedral of dread. A wounded soldier, his voice barely a whisper, asked, "Major, will they come for us?" Whittlesey's voice, though strained, remained calm, steady, almost gentle. "Yes, hold on. Help is coming." But in his heart, he harbored grave doubts, as did every man huddled in those shallow trenches. Shadows danced between the trees. A twig snapped underfoot. A faint cough echoed through the stillness. A flare suddenly illuminated the night, and a savage barrage of gunfire tore through the silence. The Americans fought back with every ounce of strength and resolve they possessed: rifles, grenades, bayonets. Some prayed for deliverance. Others unleashed a torrent of curses. But not a single man broke ranks. And when the first rays of dawn finally pierced the darkness, the battalion was still there, bloody, exhausted, starving, but unbroken in spirit. Then, on October 4th, disaster struck from a completely unexpected quarter. American artillery, attempting to provide support, began raining shells down on the wrong coordinates. The devastating explosions ripped into the hillside where Whittlesea's men had sought what little cover they could find. Trees were obliterated, and the earth itself became a deadly hail of shrapnel. They were being slaughtered by their own side. Desperation clawing at his throat, Whittlesea frantically scribbled a message on a scrap of paper and secured it to the leg of a carrier pigeon named Cher Ami. He released the bird into the smoke-filled sky, a desperate prayer on wings. It bravely navigated a gauntlet of bullets, explosions, and swirling debris. The tiny creature lost an eye and suffered a near-fatal leg wound, yet somehow, it remained aloft. Against all odds, Cher Ami reached American lines. Thanks to that single, vital message, the friendly fire ceased. The bird would later receive one of France's highest honors, a small, feathered hero of a brutal war. On the third day, a German messenger approached under a flag of truce, bearing a letter offering honorable terms of surrender. Whittlesea read it in silence, his face betraying no emotion, then deliberately tore it in half. Standing tall on the exposed ridge, bullets whizzing past him, he declared with unwavering resolve, "We will not surrender." And something ignited within his soldiers, pride, defiance, an unquenchable spark of courage that refused to be extinguished. The Germans launched another ferocious assault that night, but once again, the Americans held their ground. By October 7th, only around 194 men were still capable of fighting. Many were wounded, some teetered on the brink of consciousness. The air hung heavy with the acrid smell of smoke, damp earth, and the metallic tang of blood. Then, faint but unmistakable, came the sound of gunfire, not directed at them, but at the enemy surrounding them. American troops were breaking through. When the relief forces finally reached the battered survivors, the sight was one that would forever be etched in their memories. Men leaning on their rifles for support, their faces gaunt and hollow, uniforms torn to shreds, their eyes vacant, yet burning with an unwavering determination. One soldier, managing a weak, exhausted smile, whispered, "We knew you'd come." Whittlesea simply nodded, too drained to utter a word. Newspapers later dubbed them the Lost Battalion, but the survivors knew the truth. They were never truly lost. They were trapped by fog, confusion, and the pitiless realities of war. And in that hellish forest, starving, abandoned, surrounded, they proved that courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it simply refuses to yield. If this story moved you, consider liking and subscribing. It helps us bring more true stories, told with emotion and honesty, straight to you. But the Argonne still keeps many secrets. And the question remains, what happened on the ridge just one valley over, during that same fateful week?